Welcome to Magic Beyond the Books. Today we're talking about a day in the life of Vernon Dursley. I'm Rene.
And I'm Calen. Just a heads up, there are spoilers in this episode. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things. If you haven't read all the books and you want to go back and maybe read up before, maybe do a little bit pause here and then go back and look into a day in the life of Vernon Dursley before we get into it.
If you are going back and reading, we're discussing the chapter one of book one, which is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone or the Philosopher's Stone. Same thing. That's pages 1 through 8. If you're listening to the audiobook, I think the most popular ones are the Jim Dale one and the Stephen Fry one. They vary a little bit on the times, but it should be the first 12 to 14 minutes if you're listening to the audiobook. But let's get into it.
Vernon Dursley, the drill salesman.
Drills.
I think that's what he's best known for. I mean, the second paragraph of the book, he says a director of a firm called Grunnings, which had made drills. So that's his identity. I feel like
That might be the most interesting thing about him.
almost, yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't know how. Like one of the first things I want to talk about is He talks about he was a big beefy, or the book goes he's a big beefy man with hardly any neck. Uh, and he did have a very large mustache. Um, just a heads up for the people that are listening. Right now, currently, I am a newly admitted Harry Potter fan. So like, I'm still reading. I'm reading through the books for the second time, but and for a while, I hadn't read any Harry Potter, just taken in like movies and stuff like that. But going back and reading the Goblet of Fire when they're in the Quidditch World Cup, and one thing that Harry mentions when he sees the referee, the Egyptian referee, he has a giant mustache, and he references Mr. Dursley's mustache or Vernon's mustache. So like that's another thing about him that I guess is imprinted on Harry, is he has a giant mustache.
I didn't remember that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me show you. I wanted to share for the listeners, I'll describe it for you. But especially if you're reading these series for the first time to your kids, I'd recommend getting the illustrated books. Those didn't exist back in the day when I was reading them. Um,
Back in
but
the
they
day.
have a bunch of really cool pictures that go along with the books. And I think they have all of them. But basically for this scene, there's only two pictures. There's one that's kind of like the wall of the Dursley family. And Callan, if you can see that,
Hmm.
they have just a bunch of pictures of Dudley as like the most biggest baby you've ever seen. And there's a little family picture that shows the iconic big big mustache of
I
Vernon.
mean, it is a significant mustache. I mean, I will say that is a mustache to be, yearning for. If you're trying to grow a mustache, that is the mustache that your pie in the sky mustache is.
I mean, you have a mustache and a beard. You're
Yeah,
getting there.
it's definitely not as significant as his though. I mean, his is like probably the same amount of hair that a regular man's like beard and mustache is. Like just letting it grow.
Yes, it's a huge mustache. And in we should say too that in the books, Vernon actually has like dark hair and Petunia and Dudley I think have light hair. So I feel like
Hmm.
that makes it stand out a lot more. And
Yeah.
in this picture too, what made me laugh was this is kind of like a pic the illustration is all these pictures on the wall and it looks like there's a company calendar for Grunnings. We talking about the drill company?
Oh yeah.
And, there's a little calendar and it says November, and it looks like one of those, like, company calendars that you get, like, as a freebie when you go to, like, a company event,
Hmm.
and on the calendar, it has a quote that says, "Boring is our business."
Yep.
So,
They're just about it.
that's
They know what their clientele is looking for. They're not looking for any fancy doodads or whoosie whatsies. It's drills, baby. Drill, baby, drill. That's what it's about.
exactly, exactly. But I know that the only other I'll mention the only other illustration they have for this section is they have a nice little picture of McGonagall as a cat looking at the map, and she's clearly looking at the map.
Mhm.
I know Vernon was saying, "Oh, cats don't look at maps," but it's, like, propped up like someone reading it. It's pretty funny.
Although I will say, like, I feel like a cat would read a map. Like, if I'm looking at it, maybe not read, but it would inspect it probably a little bit, like a cat, just your average cat would look at it. I feel like cats just look at things sometimes and are like, should I destroy this?
I agree, and also, I don't trust cats. If there's anything, like, magical in this world, it might be cats.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I wish there's some other good illustrations in there, and I'll try to share those as we go with different scenes and characters, but that was the only 2 for this scene.
Hmm.
One other thing I wanna talk about this scene is the date. So, this is one of the few times in Harry Potter where we actually can track what actual date
Hmm.
this takes place. Because I looked back and so Lily and James died on October 31st on Halloween, 1981. So
Hmm.
this is where the story is taking place, if that kinda gives you a sense of the time period.
Do they mention in the book?
They don't say the date specifically in this
Okay.
scene, but how I figured this out is I went to the last book where you see Lily and James's
Oh,
gravestones, and it
okay.
says when they died. So then this is the next day, right?
Okay, and they can. That's how. Maybe she didn't exactly mention it, but that's how she, I guess, connect it in the universe.
Exactly. But the only thing that I think there's a discrepancy here that, like, probably because she didn't really plan this out is October 31st, 1981 was a Saturday, and then so that makes this day of the scene is November 1st, which would be a Sunday. But then
Mm.
in this scene, it talks about, oh, I think it says, like, on the dull gray Tuesday that our story begins. So,
Hmm.
is it a Tuesday? Is it a Sunday? I guess what do you think?
I don't know because I mean, there's people now. He's going to work, right? He's leaving to go to work, so it is a Tuesday. I
Yeah,
guess
I
this
take
is a
it
couple days after it happened. Maybe that's a little plot hole. I don't know. Um, but maybe it's a couple days after. Maybe because I mean, how fast in the 1980s? How fast does news travel? I guess because they die on. I'm assuming that night, so that would be the October 31st night, right?
mhm.
Um, well, actually, because the end of this scene. So you said they die, quote unquote, on October 31st, 1981, right? And you're saying that that
Correct,
day
and
is
it
a what?
was and that's a Saturday. Like,
And
in the
that's a
real
Saturday.
world, like, real world, October 31st,
Yeah.
1981 was a Saturday.
Okay.
So, I agree with you, maybe this is supposed to be a couple days later, but that doesn't really make sense to me either because,
Because Hagrid
like
shows up. Hagrid and McGonagall and Dumbledore are all there at the end of the night.
Exactly, and
Um,
what is baby Harry hanging out in a, like, broken
yeah,
down house for 3 days?
I do like the idea of Hagrid just chilling, just chilling with his baby for a little bit. Like, what's
They're
up?
just flying around.
Yeah, on a motorcycle. Yeah, on Sirius's old motorcycle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They took a tour of the world before they made it to the
Yeah,
Dursleys.
yeah. I mean, who knows how fast that thing goes? I mean, it probably does it. It's puttering around. Although I guess, I guess also we should say that we are going to be referencing the books most of all, but I'm going to reference further. Like what I haven't gotten to. When did they move? When did they move Harry from one safe house to another? Is that six
That's,
or seven?
in the 7th when
Okay.
once he turns 17 or a little bit before he turns 17, they move him, so book 7.
Okay, I'm referencing the scene where they're all flying and he's flying on Hagrid's
Yeah.
motorcycle, which I guess
Mhm.
he's kept over like that was technically that was I mean, we're getting into not Vernon Dursley territory.
It's okay.
This is the podcast you decided
Tangent,
to
let's
listen to.
go.
This is tangent territory. But I guess the I guess the theory is that Sirius doesn't need the motorcycle anymore, I guess. So then
Mhm,
Hagrid takes it and then
mhm.
drives Harry, and then he just keeps it for the rest of his life, I guess, until
I
Until
have a lot of
then,
questions. Yeah, is Hagrid for the next, 17 years or 16 years, he's maintaining this bike? Where is he keeping
yeah,
this? Is he paying insurance on this?
definitely, they definitely don't have insurance in the wizarding world. I guess, yeah, I guess he just has it. He just kept it for safekeeping. I don't know. He was like probably like, this is cool. It's got turbo boost fire that comes out of the back of it. You know?
Yes, well, I guess they do mention I think, Arthur Weasley works on it at some point, so maybe Arthur's storing it for
Oh,
him, but,
does
like,
he?
when was that conversation had? I don't
I don't know. Yeah.
and I don't there seems to be a lot of, like, trading back and forth between Sirius and Hagrid because later in the books I mean, we'll get into it, but ha so the Hippogriff
Hmm.
flies away with
Oh yeah, true.
Sirius and then is with Sirius for a while and then ends up getting back to Hagrid, and it was Hagrid's before, so I don't they just seem to
Yeah.
share things, but yet I do yeah,
Kindred spirits,
do they
Sirius and
ever have a
Hagrid.
conversation? I don't think
Yeah.
so.
Probably not. I mean, I think maybe the only conversation they have is whenever he's like, "Hey, kids, take my motorcycle. You know, I don't need this
And we
anymore."
don't even see that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, no.
yeah.
But yeah, so where even
Where
were we with the so
let
okay,
me
it was
get
a Tuesday. It was a
it was
Tuesday. So the plot, I guess, whole is that it was a Tuesday, and we know it was a Tuesday because she says it in the
'cause they
book.
say it, yeah.
But technically, in the real world, it was a Saturday. I
It was a
guess
Sunday,
a
yeah.
Sunday. So I guess maybe, but it is but it does. She does say it was a Tuesday. I was about to say he's working on the weekend,
So,
just as a good company
I
drillman
know, yeah,
would.
he loves the drills, he works on the Sabbath,
Mhm.
like, I don't
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess pick what you want to believe. I think it's just a plot hole because it seems weird that this would be happening, like, days after
Mhm. Yeah.
Halloween. Well, would you like to know more about what was going on November 1st, 1981?
Oh yes, I would.
Yeah, you came here for Harry Potter, you're gonna learn about the real world.
Yeah.
According to onthisday.com,
Okay.
this is my accredited research. Uh, these are some other things that were happening on like significant events that were happening on this date.
And this date is
Uh,
what again? Sorry.
this is November 1st,
Okay.
1981.
November
I
1st.
was trying to figure out what other things the Muggles might think is going on here. So I thought maybe there might be other significant things. So
Ah.
anyway, here's what was happening. So Antigua and Barbuda gain independence from Britain. So people could be celebrating that. Uh,
Fitting it in Britain.
in Britain. True.
Maybe
For reasons unknown.
while he's driving around, all the maybe he's like, "Oh, I mean, I guess Antiguans and Barbudans wear cloaks, That's just how they go, how they do."
Yeah, I don't Vernon doesn't strike me as someone who's very culturally aware
No.
of people different than him, you
No,
know?
probably not. Yeah. But he's probably like, "Oh, I just saw the news there, and then I saw a bunch of people wearing cloaks, so there has
Must
to be the
be.
same thing." Yeah.
Exactly. Well, in the United States, Daryl Waltrip wins the fourth straight NASCAR Cup race, the American 500.
Okay.
Also, Latavia Robertson, the American R&B singer, that's one of the Destiny's Children, Destiny Kids. You know them.
Yeah.
She was born in Texas, in Houston, and at the time, the number one song in the US was Private Eyes by Hall& and Oates, and the number one song in the UK was It's My Party by Dave Stewart and Barbara Gaskin. So,
I haven't heard either of those songs. Have you heard either of those songs? Or did you listen to them?
I listened to them in my research. I might have heard Private Eyes before. I've actually seen Hall& and Oates in concert, so
Oh,
but
wow.
not back in
I've never
their
heard of them either.
I think you've heard their music, you just probably don't, like, know it like, know that you're hearing their music, but,
Yeah.
yeah, I went to a concert with my parents in I think it was
Oh,
2017.
I have heard Private Eyes before. That's a
Yeah, see?
pretty, like, iconic, like, opening couple notes. So, yeah.
Exactly, yeah, it's one of those where you might not, like, know what it is, but, like, you've heard it before.
Mhm.
And then the "It's My Party," there's a couple different versions of that song, but it's the I'm not gonna sing it, but I'll say the lyrics, "It's my party, I'll cry if I want to," you know
Oh,
that song?
that's that song?
Yeah, well, that's one of the versions of that song.
Oh, okay, okay.
But yeah, so that's just to give you a vibe of kind of what was going on this day. You know, remember this is early 80s, probably have some crazy hairdos. Maybe that's why he had the
Mhm.
crazy mustache, but he kept it into the 90s.
I mean, it's a giant mustache. I mean, good for him, but, that's a bunch of nonsense. If you're spending he's probably spending, I don't know, probably hours manicuring it, oiling it.
So eventually he gets his mustache together and he leaves the house and he goes to Grunnings, his or not his drill company, but he seems to be some sort of middle manager at
Mhm.
this company. I'm assuming. I don't like
Yeah, it says he was a director. He was
okay,
the
okay.
director of a firm. He was the director, so he might be a pretty high up guy at Grunt.
But later in Chamber of Secrets, he's like trying to make a sale.
Yeah.
S-
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense though for a director, you're hosting the person
The
you're
big
the
client.
big client, yeah, that you eventually, you know, somebody drops a pie on their, his wife's head, probably screwed up that sale. Although, I would like to know if he closed that sale because 'cause that'd be pretty talented of Vernon, like.
He must have made it to director somehow.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I would like to know. I'm sure that that's not part of any sort of lore, whether or not he closed that sale that Dobby tried to ruin. Um, but I would like to know because that'd be comeback. That'd be a pretty big comeback. If he closed
Yeah.
that.
You know what I was thinking too is so another tangent here.
Go.
Buckle in, everyone. So on there's a musical called How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying.
Mhm.
And they actually like that musical off Broadway was running, and Daniel Radcliffe, who plays Harry Potter in the movies, plays the main character in that musical. And the whole musical is about how to like basically scam your way up through a big corporation
Mm.
without actually like knowing what you're doing. This seems like maybe what Vernon has done.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I guess that loops around back to Harry Potter.
I
So a
don't know.
little
Vernon
connection there.
strikes me as the guy, who tattles on people at work that are, they aren't they like are taking too long at lunch. They're like, get
Mm.
back to work. You need to be contributing to the overall, you know, bottom line of the company. He's not taking hour-long lunch breaks. If he
He,
is, he's going after he's going, at the
he's
end.
staying
He's
late.
burning the
Yeah.
midnight oil, trying to make Grunnings the best drill company um in England, I guess. I don't know if they're competing with, you know, multinational. I don't know how big they are, but you
Yeah.
know, he strikes me as the guy. He's putting in the work every day. Um,
Possibly on Sunday. So I mean,
Possibly on Sunday.
so
Yes.
somebody's got to pay for 38 birthday presents a year for
Yeah.
his kid.
Yeah. That's overkill. Come on, man.
And
You
yeah,
gotta. You gotta. And honestly, though, like for real, like if you're trying to make, I mean, maybe it's Petunia trying to, that he's just really got a real sweet spot for Petunia. She's like, we got to make this Christmas or this birthday, the best thing ever. But, are you really trying to raise a hard worker like yourself or not?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Everything we know about Dudley seems like a no. But
no.
yeah, I know what you all are thinking. This man, he's working hard. He's burning the midnight oil. He's got to pay for all these presents. The last thing this guy needs is to have a baby dumped on his doorstep, which is
Yeah.
what's about to
A
happen.
weird baby, a weird one from a weird family.
Yeah,
Man.
the I don't know. I like how in this section they say that the Potters are their dark secret. Like this is the thing that they don't want anyone to know about them,
Hmm.
which is just Uh, Petunia, I'll give it to her, she has her reasons, but I don't understand why Vernon can you imagine learning that magic exists and then being like, "Yeah, no thanks. I don't need to know about that."
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine. No, I cannot imagine um, doing that at all. I mean, if you are, I would love to know more. I think I would be like the opposite of. I'm obviously a Muggle in this scenario. I would be
In
the
this
opposite.
scenario, the real life?
Yeah, in this scenario, I find out that magic exists. I'm becoming automatically the opposite of Arthur Weasley for magic. Arthur is
Mm.
obsessed with muggles. I would be obsessed with wizards and the wizarding world. But I mean, is it, you know, I don't know. Maybe he's just so obsessed with drills. Maybe the guy just loves drills. He
I
just loves them
he loves
so
them.
much. Knows all the models, knows the threads of all of them, knows all the bits, all the pieces, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, our listeners that work for drill companies, and we know you're out there. Tell us
Ryobi,
more. Tell us more about drills.
if you work for Ryobi, talk to us. I mean,
How much more is there?
sponsorship. I
Yeah,
could, I'll be a Ryobi spokesman.
we'll
Good
promote
product.
drills.
Yeah, no free ads, no free ads. Um, but okay, so I did look up. So I was like, okay, he's a drill salesman. What could be more boring than selling drills? And then I was like, you know what? Actually, I mean, what kind of drills is he selling? Is he selling like giant drills? Because that's kind of cool, like big, big ones, industrial sized drills. And then I was like, well, he's probably selling, regular personal ones. So back in 1980, a drill, like a corded drill that you could buy, was about
Okay.
$50. But
Okay.
nowadays, that in today's dollars, that's $120. Which if you're really thinking about it, like not that bad for a drill. Like if you need a drill,
Mhm.
and you're going to use it for a while, $120 not too bad. But if you go to a hardware store, but your basic like rechargeable battery drill is like $60. So
Okay,
um,
okay. But
yeah,
I
but
feel
those
like if
ones,
this is their main business, and it seems like they're the manufacturer, these are
yeah, I would
probably
think
some
so.
nice drills. They're probably $120 drills.
Yeah, yeah, they're probably the cream of the crop. Like they're selling to like contractors and like in bulk probably. Or maybe they're selling to the stores to then sell to the you know.
Yeah, the hardware stores to then sell
Yeah,
to
yeah,
the people.
for sure. For sure. So that's really exciting stuff
That is interesting.
what he's getting.
I did not know that much about drills. I'm learning more. I'm learning more.
But I mean, to go along with the drill thing, like how boring could you be? But I feel like he's obsessed with being boring. Like he is an evil, vindictive person, but like his motivations are to be normal. Like he would probably kill to be like he would kill somebody to be normal. Like not to be a millionaire, not to be um you know uh well known, not to be like this politician, but like he would probably kill somebody to just like have his middle class life, and buy 37 presents a year for his gigantic baby.
Yeah, yeah, apparently. I mean, yeah, he's definitely has this obsession with being kind of boring and normal. And I don't know, like, do you think that Vernon, with all these things that are happening in the scene, that kind of he's noticing, do you think that he is like too dumb to realize what's going on? Or do you think that in his heart of hearts he knows, but he just doesn't like he wants to be boring, so he doesn't want to acknowledge that it's has to do with wizards?
So I don't I think that on the first like on the first reading of it, you know, I would think he's oblivious, and I do think that that's really the truth. I do think maybe there is somewhat because he knows that there are, obviously being exposed to the secret that Petunia has of having a wizard, um sibling, knowing that he knows that it's out there, like he knows that there's something like that. And then he also somebody then when he's walking down the street, he hears the word Potter. So I
By
think
then, he must know,
by then he
right?
must know there's something going on with wizards, something going on with magic. He says, the quote is, "The Potters, that's right, that's what I heard. Yes, their son Harry." So that's he overhears people saying that. Then he goes on, "Mr. Dursley stopped dead. Fear flooded him. He looked back at the whispers as if he wanted to say something to them, but thought better of it." So he knows at that point that something happened with the Potters. And I think he like just at that moment he just like shoves it back down, doesn't want to admit that this is actually like a real thing. Like for probably a very long time, he didn't have to interact with them at all. And that's another thing. Like if you're Petunia, like at what point in your relationship are you bringing up that you have a sister who's a wizard?
I don't know. I've wondered that as well. When does Vernon find out about this? Because I feel like she was pretty deep. They could have been maybe married. I
I
don't think
asked
she
I asked my wife and she was like, "It's got to be wedding day." as
wedding
soon as
day,
that
as
yeah,
soon
as
as
soon
it's
as
locked in.
maybe I don't think she didn't say wedding day, but she said married.
Okay, I agree. I agree with her.
Yeah, it's got to be like there's no going back, buddy. You married me and my wizard sister.
Yeah,
You're related now.
there's no way she's bringing that up at a first date. Like
Yeah, no.
she seems to crave normalcy as well, so she was trying to lock
Mhm.
someone in before she revealed that secret.
Yeah, and I mean maybe that's what maybe that's what like made him more of a suitable husband to her. Is this guy would kill people to like stay normal. That's my guy. That's what I want. Nothing more than to essentially erase this from my life is
Yeah.
yeah, not having anything to do with wizards. Is
So,
Petunia a squib or is she just not a wizard?
she's just not a wizard, like, or a witch.
Or witch,
Sh
yeah, sorry.
yeah, she's so the Evans family, so there's Mr. and Mrs. Evans, and they have
Okay.
Petunia and Lily, and then Lily renamed marries and her
Mhm.
name's Lily Potter. The Evans family is a Muggle family, and then, Lily's a Muggle-born witch, and then
Okay.
Petunia's not, which is actually interesting because I don't know if we get another example of that. The only other family I can think of is
Hermione?
Hermione, but she doesn't have any siblings, or, uh, Dennis and Colin Creevey, they're Muggle-borns, but they're brothers and they're both
Oh,
wizards.
okay.
Or they're, Muggle-born, their parents are Muggles.
Yeah.
I think they say their dad's a milkman, but it seems like they're the only 2 siblings and they're both wizards, so it seems weird that Petunia is not, but Lily is.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the genealogy of wizarding or witching.
Maybe
That'd be
we can do that maybe in another episode,
yeah,
maybe need
yeah,
some
definitely a
genealogy.
good topic. I would wanna know, like, that, like, likelihood. Like, how, like is it more likely that you have triplets or that you have a wizard or witch? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, it's gotta be something really low, you know?
It's gotta be lower than triplets, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, and are you and, like, do I wonder if there's, like, something where there's legend where maybe at some point there was a wizard in the family way long ago, and it's like great Aunt Lily, she was freaking crazy, like, I don't even know what she was doing. And but she was actually a witch, and like nobody, like they kept it quiet from the rest of the family or whatever. And it was like, well, you know, always a chance that one of us could be insane, and they just think that that's what it is. Who knows?
Maybe. I mean, that's true. How many people are witches and wizards and people just don't believe them from their Muggle family or something? But
Yeah, that's true. Like, what if, like, they get? Well, I don't want to.
they're still being discovered though. Like
Mhm.
Dumbledore discovers Voldemort. There's some way that they're being found out. But anyway, but to rein it back to where we were, so before he gets to the point where he hears the name Potter, the things that he
Oh, yeah.
sees that are the kind of strange happenings, if you will, are the cat he sees in the corner
Mhm.
seemingly reading a map, and then it's looking at him, and then it looks like it's reading the Privet Drive sign.
Mhm.
Those are I think those were the first things he sees.
Yeah. Which I think you can explain if you skinned cats before, you could probably explain that anyway in your brain. You're like,
Uh,
"Whatever, it's weird cat."
yeah, like if we're putting ourselves in this situation at this point, if I'm him, I'm like, that's odd, but maybe I just slept weird and I'm like imagining
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. That's a weird cat thing. Dogs would never do that.
Yeah, dogs would never do that. So then he, after that, I think is when he starts to see the people in the cloaks, right? I think that's the next thing.
Strange people, people in cloaks, whispering excitedly like there are people are walking down the street, kind of like all kind of excited that something crazy happened.
But
Um,
he seems to be writing that off as, oh, they're collecting for something.
mhm.
They're a part of something. Or I think he says or thinks that it might be just young people and
Uh-huh.
the things that young people wear. But then
Mhm.
he sees someone older, so he's kind
Yeah.
of thrown off by that. And started like around this point, I feel like he should be starting to become wiser if he's paying any attention.
Yeah, I mean, in the I think it's, morning commute, you're probably just like, whatever, something's, I don't know, I'm just trying to get to work or whatever. Maybe
Yeah,
that's going through. I do think the moment that he's like, oh crap, this is real, is when he overhears the word Potter. But also he sees like owls. But he doesn't see the owls.
he misses that.
He
Yeah.
didn't see the owls swooping past in broad daylight, though people down on the street did. But yeah, so he didn't even realize that
He missed that one.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I will
exactly.
say, I mean, for me, if I'm out and about in the day, by I think owl number 3, I'm starting to think
Oh yeah.
something's up.
I haven't seen an owl. I probably have never seen an owl like out in the wild.
Ever? At night?
Probably never.
What about burrowing owls?
What is that? What do you mean?
Burrowing.
Burrowing owls like on the
Yes.
ground?
Yeah.
No,
They
I don't. Maybe I saw one. I never and I you know pass it off as some other critter or something like that. But no, I don't know.
burrowing owls, I think you're more likely to see those during the day possibly, but
Okay.
the ones flying around, yeah, they're nocturnal. I feel like I'm getting suspicious pretty quickly if I'm starting to see a lot of owls. So you think if you see any owl, like you see one owl, you're
Maybe
starting to be
not.
like
I think maybe two. I think if I see
2.
two owls, I'd be like, "That's weird. Like, what's going on with these owls?" Because I mean, if I see one owl, I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. That's an owl." But then if I see two, I'm like, I haven't seen an owl once. So or like realize that I saw an owl like once. So yeah, I would definitely be like, okay, something might be going on here. But again, maybe that's you can explain that away in your head, maybe a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. And then so he misses that one, but then he hears that Potter's and then he literally runs into a man, a wizard, who basically just gives the plot away here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He says, you know who. He says, even muggles like yourself should be celebrating. And at that point, I think if I didn't know the word muggles and somebody said I'm a muggle, I'd be like, what the hell did you just call me, dude? Not maybe not mad, but like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm
But
surprised he
maybe
doesn't ask a lot of more
I wonder
questions.
if Petunia knows what that is. I would assume that she does, maybe in a fit of rage, Lily called her a muggle.
Yeah, Petunia, I guess I need to save it for another episode, but Petunia, I have a lot of questions about what she knows and doesn't know. And I'm wondering if she just kind of ignores things.
Yeah.
Like she knows, but she just chooses not to say anything.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Um, but anyway, so yeah, that wizard also, who do you think that wizard is? Do you think we know him?
I You might know him. I might not know him at this point. So like, what is
I
they
don't think,
say?
to be honest, I don't think we ever from my memory of the books, I don't think we ever get a confirmation of who that is. So I think we would just be guessing.
So let me see if I can look up. So it says he's wearing a violet cloak, which I would assume might be a
Maybe that's a
little bit
giveaway.
more of a giveaway.
Did they say anything about his physical description? Like short, tall?
So he said
Okay, so he's
old
old
man wearing a violet cloak.
and he has a squeaky voice. So
Yes.
I kind of have a theory then. If that's the description, I feel like there's another character that they describe as having a squeaky voice, and that's Professor Flitwick. So maybe it's him.
Okay, maybe. But Flitwick is like super small, right? Super short, or is that just in the movies?
I think he is super short. I think in the
Okay.
books as
Oh,
well.
it does say he's sorry he grunted as the tiny old man.
Oh, time. We have to look back and see, is Flitwick supposed to be old? I assume
I don't
so.
know. I think
Or
all of the
older.
professors are old
Yeah, we need to talk about the
boomers.
ages of people too.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so maybe it is Flitwick because but the only thing would be why is he not at Hogwarts? But apparently everyone left Hogwarts because McGonagall's out
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Dumbledore's out and
Yeah.
Hagrid's out. So I'm not sure because this would be in November 1st. So this would they would still be in school potentially. I don't
I
when
don't know the calendar of Hogwarts. Maybe they're on quarters. Who knows? That'd be nice if they're on quarters, but it doesn't seem like they are.
I think they're on
Semesters sort of thing.
what's 3?
Tr- Triangles,
Trimesters? This is
trimesters.
not something that I think I've found in the States, so British
Yeah.
people, comment, let us know if
I wonder how that would
having
work.
having 3 semesters works because it seems like they go to school in September or August, and then they have a break for Christmas, and then I think they talk about having an Easter break, and then their school doesn't end until, like, June or July.
Okay, yeah, so it does say English school holidays. I don't know if that is the thing, but most schools divide the year into 3 terms, so it
Hmm.
could be on a holiday. You're right.
So maybe if they get off early in November, and so Flitwick and McGonagall and Hagrid,
Hmm.
everyone's just hanging out
Yeah,
about
yeah,
town.
on their little holiday, and then as just randomly this happens, I guess on a holiday.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but that's my theory. Everyone
It could be. It very well could be. I mean, that is the only person I could think of that, once you said it, I'm like, "Okay, that fits." Tiny, squeaky robes, tiny, squeaky
He's
man.
basically a stuffed
And it wouldn't
animal.
be like, the only person only because he's, like, so associated with being a rat is, Pettigrew, but I don't think they would that Pettigrew would be happy that you know who is gone. So, that's the only other person I could think of with a
Oh,
squeaky
yeah,
voice.
squeaky squeaky rat voice.
Yeah, squeaky rat voice.
This is the squeaky rat voice, Peter Pettigrew.
Yeah.
Though he might be out faking his own death around this
Yeah,
time,
I
I'm
think
not
that's a little
sure.
bit
Later,
after, right?
later. Yeah.
Yeah, when Sirius tracks him down.
Yeah, so then at that point, I feel like Vernon should just accept the truth,
Mhm. Yeah.
but it seems like he still questions it, and then he sees McGonagall, which he thinks is just a cat, again when he gets
Mhm.
home from work, and then again when he's going to bed.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah,
before he goes to
at
at
that
that
point, I
point,
feel like
yeah,
yeah.
I think now it's become willful
Yeah.
ignorance.
Like, there's magic, there's magic, that somebody just called you a muggle.
Whatever that
People are
is.
running around in cloaks, somebody said the word Potter, that there's a cat that's just been hanging around your house that you've never seen before. Um, yeah, and does he see owls as he's driving home, or is it just I think it's just during the day that they mention owls. Oh, also no,
Oh, no, he
okay,
on the
news,
news
yeah.
report, yeah.
Yeah, just saw that. But yeah,
So go
he
ahead.
has to know. I mean, and he doesn't bring it up to Petunia. Oh, he does say,
He asks
oh,
about
what
their
is
names.
yeah, he asked,
Yeah,
"Oh,
or
have you heard
Harry's
from your
name.
sister lately?" That's what he says. He doesn't say anything past that.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah,
So, yeah, so
yeah.
but yeah, he did to your point, so on the report on the evening news, they talk about the owls being out and about, which makes sense. We know that that's because a bunch of letters are being sent. Everyone's,
Mhm.
telling all their family members, like, basically, we're safe now, Voldemort's
Yeah.
gone. And there's, hundreds of sightings of owls, and there's also shooting stars, and they talk about the newscaster says maybe people are celebrating bonfire night early,
Mhm.
and so that's what they kinda think it is.
If that's what it's like, celebrating, like, being able to just, like, shoot fireworks from your hand, that is sick. That is so cool. Like, being happy, you're like, "Boom, boom, boom, boom," like, and with no, like, regard for,
For
like,
anyone seeing?
you don't have to worry about, like, bullets fall like, you like, that what I'm comparing it to is, like, somebody,
Mm,
like, shooting a gun in the air or, like, shooting fireworks, you don't necessarily have to worry about stuff catching on fire or, like, people getting hurt if you just shoot, like, a spell into the sky, that'd be cool. That's all I'm saying.
yeah. Yeah, we need to learn more about these wizard, because we learn, Fred and George use wizard fireworks. But then there's
Oh, true.
also people do shoot what seems to be almost like a flare, like in the maze in the 4th
Yep.
book. So what exactly are these, like, shooting stars and shooting fireworks? Are these
Mhm.
spells, or are these, like, pre-bought packages that people are buying? Like, you would
Yeah.
set off fireworks?
Yeah, maybe it's, like, for people who aren't, like, skilled enough to create the spell, they
On their
sell the
own?
firework
Yeah.
version.
Well, if you're like me, you might be wondering, what is bonfire night? And I did a deep dive to find out what it is. Would you like to know?
Okay. Sure, yeah.
Bonfire night is a real thing, apparently, in Britain, and our British listeners, bear with me. You tell me if I've got this right. I went to the British Council website, britishcouncil.org, their learning English part, and then I went to the BBC website as well to try to figure out what bonfire night is. So apparently it's on November 5th. So remember we talked about this Vernon day is happening on November 1st. So bonfire
Okay.
night is 4 days later. This tradition started on November 5th, 1605. Basically what happened was 12 English Catholic men attempted to blow up Parliament in order to kill King James the First.
Alright.
And yes, so they were all Catholics, and they didn't like how the Protestant king was treating Catholics. Like, they weren't allowed to have their own
Okay.
churches. They had to practice their religion in secret.
Mhm.
So they decided that the only thing they could do was blow him up, I guess. So so
It's the only
the
option.
yeah, that was it, I guess, in 1605. So they rented a room underneath Parliament, and a soldier from that group of the 12 of them, he was in charge of he filled it with 36 barrels of gunpowder,
Man.
which is a yes, which is a lot, and it's apparently about 2,500 kilograms or 5,500 pounds of gunpowder to blow Parliament up.
How many pounds of C4 is that equated to?
I don't Are people that know about C4 and gunpowder, write in. How much is this? How big of a boom are we talking?
Yeah.
Also, how did no one notice this man pulling in
Yeah,
36
yeah.
barrels?
Maybe because
Um,
he's a soldier, he's like,
yeah, they're just like, "Oh,
he
yeah,
kind of
he's
acts like
moving
he's supposed
gunpowder."
to be here. Yeah.
Um, but anyway, they got caught because someone had written into I think there was a Catholic person at part of Parliament, and they told them not to go, and then they were discovered. So they all were killed, and after that, so the reason that apparently Bonfire Night is celebrated is because the following year everyone had to go to church, and they celebrated with a bonfire. They're celebrating the king's
Mhm.
safety. So they're not actually
Oh,
celebrating the blowing up of Parliament. They're celebrating that the king survived,
okay.
but they celebrate with fireworks. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so today, apparently, they celebrate with bonfires and with fireworks, and they eat toffee apples and hot snacks and candy floss. Which, for our listeners in the United States, toffee apples like our caramel apple, and cotton candy would be candy floss.
Mm.
So it seems to me kind of like bonfire night, sort of like a mix of how us in America might celebrate 4th of July slash Halloween because of the caramel apples.
Mm. Yeah, and well, okay, 4th of July okay, kind of a mix of those 2?
Kind of a mix, right?
Yeah.
Because you get the fireworks, which aren't necessarily a Halloween thing, but
Mhm.
it's in November. It's right after Halloween, so and you're getting kinda
Yeah.
like the it makes me think kind of like a Halloween has festival that has,
Yeah.
cotton candy and, uh, caramel apples, but anyway, once I got deep down this rabbit hole of Bonfire Night, it actually links back to Harry Potter because the name of that soldier that was in charge of all the gunpowder, the 36 barrels
Okay.
of gunpowder guy,
Yeah.
his name was Guy Fawkes, last name
Oh.
Fawkes, Kes, which is who that's how Fawkes the Phoenix got his name.
Oh, wow.
So
Oh,
JK
that's actually how he got his name.
Yes,
Oh,
so
okay.
J.K. Rowling named the Phoenix after that because, the
Huh.
Phoenix blow up in flames.
Yeah. Oh, okay, okay, yeah. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So it all links back, so
That is really cool.
a little bit of fun facts, real world and Harry Potter
Guy
world for
Fawkes
you guys.
also his name, when he fought for the Spanish, Guido Fawkes.
Guido.
Yeah.
Hmm,
So, fun fact. That's cool though. I did not know that. And that's a cool full circle moment,
comes back to Harry Potter.
coming back to Harry Potter. Yeah,
If you
definitely.
dive deep enough into the real world, you
Mhm.
come back to Harry Potter
Time is a
apparently.
flat circle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that concludes my deep dive on Bonfire Night, everybody.
After that, we've kinda confirmed that, Dursley or Vernon is, like, definitely just not addressing his, emotions,
He
as a good working man does. Doesn't address his emotions, doesn't bring anything up to his wife.
Yeah,
That's
he
the way
holds that
of a good
in.
man. Yeah. Doesn't address it, and then obviously they become ill prepared the next morning when Petunia and him find Harry.
But the one thing I will say I do like about this scene is it's one of the few times that we get a muggle perspective. I tried to look back. I believe
Mm,
you guys will tell me if I'm wrong. I believe we only get this 3 times throughout the series. So obviously the beginning of book 1, then the beginning of book 4 when we hear about the villagers and in the little town where Tom Riddle's family is, and
mm,
then we get the gardener's perspective of meeting
yeah.
Voldemort in kind of the present day. And then
Mhm,
in the 6th book, in the beginning of that, we get the minister, the Muggle minister, and him meeting the Muggle prime minister meeting the
okay.
minister of magic. We kind of get his perspective there. So I think that that's kind of 1, 4, and 6. We're kind of every so often we're just being reminded, hey, by the way, this is happening in the real world. There's a
Yeah.
Muggle world, and this is how Muggles are perceiving all of this going on.
Mhm, yeah. The wizards are definitely, even though they are probably in this scenario or in this universe, they are probably the dominant. I don't know how a small wizard army would fare against a modern, military or whatever. But like the wizards are the smaller population of people, but they have inordinate impact on the Muggle world if things get out of hand. At this point, Voldemort has been probably planning on killing and enslaving like Muggles at a pretty large clip. You definitely have to think about us regular people when when we're considering these types of very powerful people using their powers for not good. Um,
Yeah. No
yeah,
Muggle is safe.
no Muggle is safe. No wizard is safe from Voldemort. Honestly,
So with that, I think we've wrapped up the scene. We're gonna get into our hero of the scene and our favorite quotes. But before that, do you want to do a little intermission?
yeah,
All right. So for our intermission, we have a little bit of Harry Potter trivia. I have a few questions for Callan. So I'm going to ask the questions and then Callan's going to see if he can answer. And if you want, you can play along. You try to pause it or try to shout out your own answers, see if you can get all of these. So in this scene with Vernon Dursley, we see our first person in animal form. We see our first animagi McGonagall, and we learn later that they register. There's a register with the
hmm
ministry. So, how many registered animagi have there been this century?
I just got past that point when they were talking about that when Remus and Sirius were kind of rehashing everything. I think it is, and now I don't want to be. I don't know.
And we're
Again,
saying
I
we're
didn't
saying
promise too much.
registered. We're
Yeah,
saying
I didn't
registered.
promise too much. I think it's. I think I remember he said there's 8 maybe or more
You're
than that.
so close. There's 7.
Oh,
So, I'll give it to you.
okay.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
So 7 registered, but we also thought the books find out about 4 that are
hmm
unregistered from this century. So can you name those 4?
So I know it's. I know Sirius, Peter Pettigrew, and obviously James Potter.
Okay, that's
Um,
3.
I don't. I don't think werewolves count.
No.
I don't know the last one.
The last one is Rita Skeeter. In the 4th
Oh.
book, we find out that she is a bug. She can turn into a bug, and that's how
Oh.
she gets all of
Okay.
her information as a
Lame.
journalist.
I mean, I guess that's really cool, but you're a bug.
I mean, of all things,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're a bug.
There is, for the people rereading or reading for the first time, I hope you're not reading for the first time because we're spoiling a lot of things, but, um,
We warned you.
we warned you, we warned you. Then, it's fun to read the 4th book and pay attention because there's actually they mention seeing a beetle multiple times before you know that it is Rita Skeeter,
Okay. Okay.
so it's
Yeah.
super fun. That's a little Easter egg.
There was another instance like that where oh, the other instance of her of J.K. Rowling just foreshadowing the crap out of something is when Hermione can go back in time. Like she
Oh, yeah.
reading the book again, she just hammers it, just like
Over and
every
over and over,
over
yeah.
again, over and over and over again. Like I'm pretty sure Ron says something about that like 20 times throughout the book. Obviously, Ron doesn't. Yeah, I don't know if
Yes.
does Ron ever figure it. I can't remember if they ever tell him.
Ron learns in the end,
Yeah.
like, what had happened, but he never,
Okay.
like, figures it out.
Yeah. No. 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 He didn't, neither of those doofus
But
boys figure it out. But
I know, the dude first of all, Harry's oblivious and doesn't even care. He's just like, "Oh, she has 3
yeah.
exams at the same time. I don't know
yeah.
how that happens, whatever."
Whatever.
Ron is, like, severely concerned. He's always asking about it, and also, she hints it too when in the beginning of the school year, Hermione has this special meeting with McGonagall
yeah.
and doesn't say what
Yeah.
it's about. "Oh, about my
hmm
schedule."
Yeah.
So,
Just
yeah, it's
probably tattling on somebody again.
exactly. I think that I think that it's fun going back and reading the books when you know some of these big surprises
Yeah.
because it really becomes obvious like, "Oh, this was hinted at all along."
Yeah. And I do wish not to do another tangent, but I wish one of the if I had one spell that I could use, I want to use a short term or a very targeted obliviate on myself anytime I watch something. I want to see it for
Mm,
the first time every time. Like if I'm watching a movie, I want to see that movie for the first time every time, no matter what.
mm.
Like I obliviate the Harry Potter books from my brain, and then reread them all, and be like,
Be
like
able to
that. That'd be
experience it again.
exactly, yeah.
I would
That's one.
definitely I would definitely obliviate myself and then watch, like, the Lord of the Rings movies for the first time
Yeah.
to experience that joy.
hmm
Yeah, but very specific. Yeah,
Yeah.
just for one certain thing.
hmm
And I wonder maybe if you become such a good wizard or witch,
Oh, you definitely could do
could
that.
you do that? Like, could
Yeah.
Dumbledore do that possibly?
Yeah. I wonder if you could get really good at it, where it's like taking files out of a file cabinet, in your brain.
Mhm.
I wonder. That'd be
Or
cool.
can you obliviate yourself? Or I guess Gilderoy Lockhart does obliviate himself.
Yeah, but he does it on an accident because Ron's wand is
Wand.
broken.
Yeah, I wonder if you can intentionally obliviate yourself, not other
Yeah,
people.
or you just like
Or would you ever
I
know?
again, but I don't know because you don't want to break a wand and then try it on yourself and then forget everything. I was just thinking
Exactly.
like you could like break a wand and be like, if you couldn't do it, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
he's permanently hospitalized, so I don't
yeah, yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
the witches and wizards out there listening, we don't
Do
recommend
not
that.
do not try this at home. Do not
Do
try
not try this
obliviate
at home,
on
kids,
yourself at home, especially if you have a broken wand.
especially if you have a broken one.
Yeah.
Please don't try this at home.
Yes.
Okay, you ready
So
for the
next
next
question.
question? Okay. So Lily and James died on Halloween. We talked about that,
Mhm.
which is the impetus for all of these strange happenings in this scene with Vernon. What other character from the books do we know also dies on Halloween? On a Halloween, not the same Halloween. And I'm not
Hmm.
counting, for the record, I'm not counting Voldemort because he doesn't really die.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh. I wanna say it's like so I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer to this question. I'm just going to on a guess. Is it Halloween when they go to the Department of Mysteries and Sirius
No,
dies?
no, it's not Halloween. It's
Okay.
not serious. I'll give you a hint. We learn about this character dying on Halloween in book 2. That book, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Okay. We will learn that they died on Halloween.
In that book. We don't
Ooh.
see this person die.
Are they ghostly?
Yes, they're
Okay, so
ghostly.
is it Nearly Headless Nick?
Yes,
Okay. All right.
because they go to his death day
Mhm.
party, which is the anniversary of
Oh,
his death
yeah,
on
I
Halloween.
should have known that. Dang it. Okay.
It's okay, that was a tricky
Yeah,
one. But you
yeah,
got
yeah.
it in the end. You
Yeah,
got
I
it.
did. I ended up getting it. Yeah.
Yeah, good work. I have one more question for you. Are you ready?
Yes.
This scene takes place on November 1st, which we talked about, but there's a Harry Potter character with a birthday that's 2 days later on November 3rd. Do you know which character it is?
Hmm.
I wouldn't
So
know this one.
it's not Harry or Neville because they have summer birthdays. I don't know. Is it one of the main 3 or is it I guess not because you wouldn't have known.
It's I didn't know this. I think this is like one of those lore things where it's not actually in the books, but J.K. Rowling put it in like an article or something, or like published it in on her website.
Okay.
Um, so I don't know any way that you would know this unless you like knew that. But it's not. I'll tell you, it's not anyone that we see. It's not like one of the students at Hogwarts in the
Okay.
book. So it's one of the adults that we know.
I'm just going to guess Dumbledore.
No,
Okay.
it's another member of the Order of the Phoenix. It's Sirius Black,
Okay. Okay. So
which makes me think.
I did answer him for another question, so maybe I get a little partial credit,
So you
but
get a little partial
yeah.
credit there. Sirius Black. So he would have been like going to prison for 13 years around the time of his
Oh,
birthday,
that's brutal. And he was framed.
and he was
Oh,
framed by his friend.
that's terrible.
Yeah, poor Sirius. He
Yeah.
has. We need to get into it. He has some rough things happen to him in his life.
Yeah. For real. I mean, the first thing is you get your face burned off the tapestry. That's terrible. Like
Oh
that's one of the worst things that could happen to a child, probably. Like really, like actually bad things. Um like, just
his face,
psychologically
yeah, his face
drained.
burned off the
Yeah.
tapestry, runs away from home,
Uh-huh. Family
um,
hates him.
family hates
House elf hates
him.
him. Like
Yeah, he
everybody
hates
at
the
that
house
point,
elf,
if I'm a kid at that point, I'm like, this freaking elf hates me too. Like I can't catch a break.
but yeah, rough life for Sirius. So that
Rough.
concludes our trivia intermission, so let's jump back to the scene, Day in the Life of Vernon Dursley. I'd like to talk about our hero of the scene. I would say my hero of the scene is probably the wizard that he bumps into that we think maybe is Phileas Flitwick.
Okay.
That that character just cracks me up. The fact that he called a muggle to his face
Mhm.
just gets me every time.
Yeah. No, I
And
mean, yeah, to feel that like emboldened. I mean, of course, it's a great day. Voldemort's
it's a great
gone.
day. It's a great
Um,
day.
you know, he's obviously feeling great.
He's just, yeah, nothing can get him down. He
Living
literally
in the
was
moment.
knocked to the ground and he just is happy. And this just seems like a scenario where all the witches and wizards are just, caution to the wind. We don't really care for exposing ourselves
Hmm.
to these muggles. We're just going to tell them straight up, you know what? You know who is gone. I know
Yeah.
you don't know who that is.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this guy that he's walking down the street and Mr. Dursley is enraged that some of these people aren't young people and they're still wearing cloaks, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, they're. I think if in this interpretation, I'm thinking he knows they're not young because they're obvious. They would obviously be old, but I think the heroes of the scene because they're older people and they're out there getting after it. They're partying. They're still lively enough to go out, and obviously there's younger people around them. See, so it says because it says Mr. Dursley was enraged to see that a couple of them weren't young, so they are out there getting after it, staying with the young crowd, and just having a grand old time because obviously it's great. It's a great day. My hero of the scene, I guess heroes of the scene were the older crowd that was still getting after it with the younger crowd.
Yeah, that's a good
Because
point.
yeah,
Shout out senior citizen
yes,
wizards and witches.
yes, get yourself a butter beer.
Get yourself butterbeer, get yourself fire whiskey,
Yes,
and, go out and party
yeah.
because you deserve
This
to
is
party
yeah.
too.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. I mean, although it does happen twice within a 15-year period, but or maybe not a 15-year period, but 20-year period. But like, at that point, once in a lifetime opportunity. That guy's big bad Voldy is dead, or gone at
Yeah,
least.
they
They
think
think
he's
he's
gone for
gone.
good, a lot of people,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Why not? Why not? Why not today?
Why not today? Why not now?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Let's go be
It
great. Let's go be great today.
it reminds me a lot of we kinda get to see this we don't get much of this, but a little bit in the very, very end of the 7th book, you get a little bit of, like, people celebrating and hugging each other, and it's just, like it's just so happy and so filled with joy,
Mhm.
and it's almost like this whole story loops around to the beginning. It's a circle,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Like, it
true.
ends it ends a little bit I mean, they have the prologue part, but
Mhm.
or the epilogue, but, it ends, with this celebration, Voldemort's gone, and that's how it actually begins,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, what a great
loops back
way
around.
to tie up the series.
And I will say my favorite quote from the scene also comes from my hero of the scene when he says, "Even muggles like yourself should be celebrating this happy, happy day. This happy, happy day." I think
Happy,
about
happy
that
day.
quote all the time. That's
I wonder
definitely
what
one
he
of my
meant by
favorite
like
quotes.
yourself. Maybe he didn't necessarily mean just all muggles are like that, like yourself, but maybe he meant there was something he saw about Vernon that was like, dude, like stop selling drills. Like just celebrate. Do what for once in your life. Like do something cool. So don't sell a drill today. Try not to sell a drill.
I like to think that this wizard saw how boring he was, and he
Yeah,
was
exactly.
saying, not just muggles like you're a muggle, but
Mhm.
even the extremists of the extreme muggles like
Yeah,
you who are so
exactly.
far away from the wizarding world. If the wizarding if wizardishness is a spectrum, Vernon's on the one end, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that guy's like, "You're not even close. Like, you're not even like, no one in your bloodline was ever a wizard," you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Like for once in your life, this is the day. This is the day you can have it just a little bit of fun.
Yes, this was
Put the
the
phone down.
80s.
Yeah.
This was the 80s version of YOLO.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Even muggles like yourself. I think my quote of the scene was they were the last people you'd expect to be involved in anything strange or mysterious because they just didn't hold with such nonsense. That describes this family perfectly. They are aggressively normal. That's what I would say. They're almost like I said, Vernon would probably kill to keep his middle class lifestyle.
Definitely, definitely. That I yeah, that quote sums them up. Like you said, aggressively normal, aggressively boring,
Yeah.
just trying so, so, so hard to just, like, blend in and not stand out for being weird in any sort of way.
Yeah. Definitely. Hostile. They are hostile for being normal. So,
Yes.
yeah. That was my favorite quote because I mean that like I said that ties a bow on what the Dursleys are.
Yeah, and I think that ties a bow on this episode.